Hey guys, Dale here, back with a new episode of Gravship Blueprints, and we are, of course, back at Odyssey Shipyard. So, today we're going to be taking a look at kind of an original design, a design that Redditor actually asked me to make for them. They had some specific kind of design requirements around the ship. We didn't talk about vanilla or modded, so I just assumed vanilla. This is another vanilla-friendly design. But they said that they usually have 14 colonists, about 14 colonists, and they wanted a ship with individual bedrooms. They wanted as many base facilities in the ship as possible. They didn't really care about external defenses. They said that they didn't need a genetics room or a mechanoid room, some of those types of facilities. They didn't care about having a nursery or a classroom. But I was able to fit a lot more into this vanilla ship than I thought I could, especially with having all those individual bedrooms. So let's take a look at this guy. First off, this is what the footprint looks like. It is 2000 by 2000, and it does fit into the kind of vanilla mold for a ship. And we will, I guess, start at the rear like we typically do. So back here we have a shuttle bay. There is some storage back here in the shuttle bay, and of course it is unroofed. Forward and off to the sides of the shuttle bay we have some more unroofed segments of the ship, and that is where we are keeping some solar panels for now at this stage of the ship. And then right in between those two parts of the ship, we do have, I guess, what would be primarily storage. It's a cargo bay, but we also have a lot more power production facilities in this room as well. If we click on the generator here, you can see that grid excess, it's going down, and that's because we are running out of daylight. But our sun lamps are still going. So during the middle of the day, when we're getting full solar power, this ship's operating at about 2600 extra watts. And then there's a time in the evening when the sun lamps haven't shut off, where we do go a bit negative, about 2K negative. But once the sun lamps shut off, we do go back into the positives again overnight. This is not the full power setup. So we have 6 solar generators, we have 8 chem fuel generators, and up here in the bridge we have 3 grav core power cells. So it is a pretty hungry ship. That being said, we did fit as many production facilities in here as we could, and we aren't micromanaging them right now. So in the evening and potentially in the early morning, you might see the batteries dip a little bit, but they completely go back to full throughout the day. So we are good on that. Here in this engine room, this power production and storage room, we do have one of our grav field extenders. We also have 2 more here on the sides, and then the next 3, we have 2 here in this production room, and then we have 1 here up in our freezer. So let's take a look at the production room. It is a pretty hefty room. So workshop-wise, the workshop encompasses 2 hydroponic setups, and we could squeeze a little bit more into these hydroponic setups. We could probably fit one right there. Not quite. We need to move this guy around, but you could fit one up here and get it in full coverage, and you could fit one over here and probably get it in full coverage as well, just kind of moving some of these things around. As it is, this is 40 basins, and if you're thinking about 2 per person, if settings are ideal and you're doing nutrient pace, you can feed about 20 people off of this. So I think for a ship where we're expecting 14 passengers, this is probably a good setup. It gives you a couple basins for doing some herbal medicine, or for swapping over to maybe a crop that you're going to turn into chem fuel, or just having some extra food stockpiled if you need it. On either side of the workshops, kind of towards the rear of the ship, we do have 2 rooms that are specialized. So over here, we managed to fit in some anomaly entity containment, as well as some anomaly structures. So we have an electro harvester, we have a bioferrite harvester, we have a shard inhibitor, and if we needed to, we could rearrange some of these batteries. We probably don't need these batteries, and we could get like a suppressor in here or something, right? And then off here on the right side, we have our little Medbay. We have a large and small charger. We have a large and small gestator. We have the subcore encoder and a waste pack atomizer. The subcore encoder, you can uninstall it, reinstall it. So this might be a situation where if you need to make basic subcores, you're popping this down. If you want to do some RIP scanning, you can pop a RIP scanner down and just kind of use that as a module workspace for you. Okay, so we have our smallest bedrooms here on the side of the workshop. Single bed, end table, dresser. It is mediocre, and that's probably mostly because it's cramped. It's clean. It's neutral in beauty, so you could probably like throw a statue in here to help it out. Very tiny bedroom. My thought for these bedrooms are that they would maybe function as like a brig, so these might be set up for prisoners more often than not, but suitable for a colonist. Other facilities, so we got 2 bonus facilities. We also managed to squeeze in a little nursery. I like to keep all my babies in the same area, so when I can, I try and put a nursery down. If I'm feeling desperate, I'll put a crib down in a barracks or in the hospital or in the parents' bedroom, but I find separating them keeps them from disrupting your other colonists while they're sleeping. You know where mothers are going to be when they're feeding their children. They're going to be sitting right here on this couch. We got some toys and a toy box in here, and on the opposite side of the ship, we do have a classroom with 3 blackboards. So we could be teaching up to 2 students on the ship. We could be hosting up to 2 babies on the ship. We could be hosting 2 prisoners on the ship pretty regularly. Here in the workshop area, we have pretty much all of our work. Well, I take that back. We have space for all of our workbenches, but I didn't put all of our workbenches down. We have a smithy, we have an electric smelter, we have machining table, we have an electric tailoring bench, we have fabrication, and we have 2 biofuel refineries. Of course, you could move some of these batteries around, get rid of them. You could put stone cutting down. You could put an art bench down. You could utilize some of this space up here, get rid of some of the local storage that happens in the workshop. I do like to have a lot of storage in the workshop itself, just so that they have easy access to the resources that they're going to be used for crafting. So I would probably specialize some of these shelves to be for steel and plasteel and components and put them as a higher priority than just kind of like the general storage back here. Also in the workshop, our GravCore engine and our large chem fuel tank. So on either side of the workshop going up, we have 6 bedrooms. So we have 2 larger bedrooms, and then these bedrooms are all pretty uniform in shape and size. They all have double beds. So I would assume in a colony of 14, you're probably going to have at least a couple, if not several couples. So this is 12 beds that could potentially, sleep 24 people, 26 people if we count the single beds back here. So could be a fairly large colony, depending on how you manage things with pregnancies and how lucky you get with relationships or not. Here forward the workshop and center of the ship, we do have our bridge. I have done my traditional mega screen television as a view screen for the bridge, and it hits all 5 chairs in here. So we have a couple people working communications, we have someone helming the ship, and then maybe a couple seats for a captain and a first officer. Additionally, we have our pilot consoles here. Shove some batteries in here, and we are generating some power here in the bridge. We do have fuel optimizers back here, so the 1 large chem fuel tank is all we really need. You can always go for more if you don't want to have to worry about keeping one tank tip top on fuel. Forward the bridge, we have our freezer / kitchen. So if you were in the mood to be making simple, fine, or lavish meals, there is a facility for that here. We do have a cooler right next to an open door. So when we're planet side, we can keep this refrigerated in space. It's not mattering too much. Huge clusters of heating right here. This is potentially more than enough heating for the ship because we do have these chem fuel power generators. These chem fuel power generators are actually providing quite a bit of heat. So the ship is all right when it comes to temperature and vacuum sealedness, right? Okay, so on either side of our freezer, we have a couple dedicated rooms. We have a small research room. It's very cramped. We have our high-tech research bench, our multi-analyzer, and we do have a bookcase. And then we do have a pretty small sick bay. So only 4 hospital beds in here. Of course, if people were coupling up, what I might do is I might use this as a small barracks and maybe convert a couple of these rooms into a larger medical facility, maybe actually these larger sized rooms back here, depending on how the furniture would fit. And then the front of the ship and actually these hallways that go pretty deep. If we take a look at room, you can kind of see the outline glowing there, but basically from here and here all the way into this room, it's all considered one room. So we have an extremely impressive sanctuary. We have our ideogram here for our ideologian. We do have a steel lectern right here. The user of the lectern is going to have to stand in the doorway, but I don't think that's too big of a deal. And then we have a few pews here. We could fit some more in, specifically like right back here. They will work right next to each other, and I think in a tighter space that kind of makes sense. I don't know, I grew up going to a Catholic church with my mom, and I feel like those pews are very, very close together, especially when you're sitting and kneeling. So I don't think that having them back to back like that is too cramped. This ideology room functions as a recreation room and dining room as well. We do have recreation facilities. We have horseshoe pins, we have billiards tables, we have poker tables, and we have some chess tables in here. If your ideology building requires that you have pillars, there are plenty of places to have pillars in here. I decided to kind of like finish off the corner in between the pews with some pillars, and then I just used this open space here, but there is some open space throughout this room that you could do that. With the nutrient paste dispenser completely closed off from the room, this is an acceptable ideology room. Otherwise, if this door and these walls weren't here, this would be considered a working facility, and our colonists would not be happy about having our ideology symbol in there. I think that's it for the tour here. Actually, one more thing I want to show you guys are the exits. So we do have a front exit if needed. We have 2 exits on the side, and then we have a rear exit as well. We have our vac barrier doors here since this is mostly unroofed area out in this part of the ship. And then I figured this might be the place where I would bait people into coming into melee blockers if I was encountering like a small planet side raid. So there are a few options for how you could land your ship in space on different platforms or asteroids. Several different exits for you. Let's take a look at the plans. And actually the first thing that I'm going to show you is I did a little bit of a somewhat tedious paint job. I kind of made like a little chevron pattern, and then I drew a straight line down in the green, and then I kind of did this entire edge in green as well. This is the first set of plans where I've also created plans for the paint job. Let's let's do this. Planning, copy that, and I have a copy of it right here. So, of course, after the ship is built, if you wanted to overlay your ship with this, then it could give you an idea of what that chevron pattern looks like that I created for this particular build. And then, as usual, I have created 2 plans, one showing how the ship has been presented to you today in this video. If you're used to the way that I plan things out and all the garbage that I put in here, then this probably makes some sense to you. If you just want the silhouette, that guy is right here. The only additional things that we have on the silhouette is I do mark where I put the thrusters, so a recommendation for you, and then I have marked where the grav engine is and then where the various extenders could be. So this one in the back needs to be here in order to get this amount of length. This one in the front needs to be here in order to get this amount of length of the ship. So we are kind of like at the max length for the ship. And then the other 4 have a little leeway. So, you could place this one anywhere along this line or those circles. Same on this side. And then this one, or these 2, are a little trickier. And I see something that I need to fix. You could place it as far in as this. You could place it right against the wall. You could place it pretty far forward. And then there's some space here, kind of like in this triangle. That it would work as well. You just have to kind of see where it fits for you guys. And then the same on this side, of course. I have called this ship the BTD Frontier. So if you're looking for it on GitHub, this is what it's going to look like. BTD Frontier, 6 extenders, max tiles. And then, of course, the 6 extenders, max tiles with the plans is the version that has like all my specific junk about room placement and workshop placement, all that stuff. And then this last plan specifically calls out the paint job if you're interested in having something that isn't just a gray blob. I'm pretty satisfied with this ship. I kind of like that it looks like a long arrowhead. It is still kind of giving like horseshoe crab vibes, which I know a lot of ships tend towards. But it was kind of fun doing a little challenge of making sure that we could fit 14 colonists into private bedrooms in this ship. Thanks for hanging out. As always, until next time, have a good one. Bye.